Okay, most of you will, I'm sure, notice that that was Blue Bossa. And about 2 weeks ago, I did one of those 15-second YouTube short videos that featured it. And I asked, hey, if you like that, would you like me to do a proper lesson on those changes? Those are Ted Green comping changes, by the way, underneath that melody. So I got a bunch of positive response via YouTube, my YouTube channel, and Instagram as well. So without further ado, I have my studio door open. My dog may be running in and out. You might hear some birds or a lawnmower or a trash man, and that's just the way it's going to be today. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hold up a chord page for you to take a screenshot of. I will also link to the Ted Green website if I can find this again. So let's just grab this. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. So this is at tedgreen.com, and it was just something I found digging through the lesson pages. He did it in 1989. I don't know if it was for a student or for students in general or just something for him. These pages are all done by the webmaster at www.tedgreen.com. He takes Ted's original handwritten chords and then sort of puts regular notation underneath it, cleans it up a little bit. For those of you familiar with Ted's regular pages that he handed out, you know that they tend to look like this, which I think is actually really beautiful with his handwritten notes on it and stuff, but it can be a little bit difficult to decipher if you're not familiar with his style of writing stuff. So we're going to use the really nicely done page there. All right, so let's just start it from the beginning. The changes themselves, most of them are not super difficult, but there are a few stretches. And one of the reasons why, two reasons why I'm picking this. One, Blue Bossa is a tune that everybody plays and usually destroys on the bandstand because they think they're sick of playing it, because they think that it's a tune that nobody does anymore or is for novice jazz players. And you know what? That's BS. It's actually not that easy to burn over and hit all those changes. A lot of folks completely destroy the chord changes, ruin the melody, and otherwise play pretty unimaginative over it. But I think that by kind of re-looking at it via a really cool set of chord voicings, can kind of at least reinvigorate it for yourself. Like I said, most of the chords are pretty simple, but there's a few stretches. And the other reason why I'm picking this is specifically because those chords that are a little bit more difficult are another great way of kind of getting into Ted's way of thinking and grabbing some of his grips, his chord progression, chord voicings, which will help you, I think, tackle some of his much more difficult pieces if you so desire. So you can sort of think of this as like the gateway drug here. So let's just take the first chord. We're doing this in the stock key, C minor. This tune is by famously by Kenny Dorham and Joe Henderson on, I think, the Page One record, but don't quote me on that. Let's see. So the first C minor chord, the 1 chord, big old C minor 11. All right, I'm going to get real close here. So this is a pretty nice fourthy, stock fourthy voicing. And then, if you're familiar with the tune, you know that originally there's 2 bars of C minor, or C minor 7. Then it's going to go to an F minor chord, right? But we're not going to do that. We're going to start on this C minor. And then, in order to get us to that F minor, we're going to use the 5 of F minor, because technically we do change keys here. And so we're going to make that C minor 11 into a C altered dominant chord. And the voicing that Ted picks is this really cool C7 flat 9 sharp 5. On the page it says C7 flat 9 plus. Plus means augmented. Augmented chord is taking the 5th and raising it up a half step. So we're going to go from C minor 11 to this C flat 9, C7 flat 9 sharp 5, 3rd in the bass. So we got this really hip motion, which drops us down to a really cool standard but slightly difficult Ted F minor chord. So from the bottom up, it's E flat, A flat, C, G. 7th in the bass. Now what I'm doing is I'm doing that little Ted or George Van Eps 1 finger trick, where I'm hitting this E flat and the A flat in the low end of the guitar with the tip of my middle finger. Some days I get it better than others. This particular guitar, this is an Ibanez Artist from like 79. Basically a 335. I think it's Gibson scale, but I've never actually measured it. I have very heavy strings on here. I probably set a 12 to 60. And it's not really that tough for me to get those 2. It's a great way to learn this type of Ted thing, because he does it all the time. Now, the next thing in the tune, again, for those of you that are familiar with it, is a big 2-5 back into C. So normally the changes would be D minor 7, flat 5, or D minor 7 to some kind of G, altered into a C minor. Now, we don't have to do the D minor 7 flat 5. In fact, Ted's not going to. He's going to continue on with that sort of fourthy thing. But the way that he gets there is what's really special. If you're looking at that page, he approaches into the 2-5, the D minor, by a half step above. So an E flat, and it's a big E flat 11th chord. Super easy on guitar. 6th fret, bar it, strings 5 through 2. 5, 4, 3, 2. To get into that D minor 7th. And it's really hip the way that he keeps the F on top. Very modern, at least at the time. Very piano player-ish. So let's just get to that part for now. Now the 2-5, and this is a G7 flat 9 sharp 5 chord, 7th on the bottom, major 3rd sharp 5 on top, flat 9, A flat there, F on the bottom. Very hip voicing into one of my favorite chords, a C minor 13, or as Ted calls it, a 6-9, C minor 6-9. Little bit of a stretch here. Got the 3rd on the bottom, minor 3rd, to 5, to 6, to 9. Now I know if you've never played this before, especially down here in this lower register, you're gonna go, what the fuck, how do I play that? And were Ted's hands really huge? And they weren't. They were bigger than mine probably, but not by much. And I guarantee you, you can get this. Have your thumb in a really good position underneath the I have it underneath my second finger, right down here. See it poking up, but it's right down below it, like at about the 3rd fret. If a note doesn't ring true, it's cool, not a big deal. So let's go back from the beginning again. Half step above, 2, 5, back to 1. Now he does something really cool. Again, if you know the tune, you know that now this is the bridge section, or maybe you'd call it B. We have a 2-5 into D flat major, so that would normally be E flat minor to A flat something, A flat dominant into D flat major, major 7th, 6, 9, whatever. So he's going to do all that, and it's not going to be real tough. But how he gets there is pretty hip. It's not hard, but it's very, very groovy. He approaches that big 2-5 in E flat by a quick half step above 2-5, E minor to A7, then straight right down into the E flat minor to A flat 7. So we're going to do this. E minor 11, that same shape again, to a really basic A7. It's keeping the G on top. Then A flat 13, D flat 13, or D flat 6-9. It's not a dominant chord, so it's not really a 13. It's just a major chord with a 6th and 9th. Into a really hip D flat major 7th, and I'll get there in 1 second. I'm going to go back again so you can hear how this builds up. So from the top. 2-5 back to 1. Home key. Now we're going to get to the new key. There, that nice 2-5. A flat 13, D flat 6-9, D flat major 7th. Now this is where it gets honestly a little bit tough here. D half diminished, or D minor 7 flat 5 to it. This chord has no 3rd in it. It's a D11 with a flat 5, but it still sounds relatively minor in the context that we're in, because we've just come from a D minor 7 flat 5, minor 3rd in the bass. Now he puts the flat 5 in the bass, which is actually a really common move on a minor 7 flat 5 chord, is to have, or a minor 11 flat 5, to have the flat 5 in the bass. But technically, this exact voicing has no major or minor 3rd in it. So I'm calling it a D11 flat 5, but I would still think of it in the context of it being minor. G7 sharp 9 sharp 5, our 3rd is in the bass. Now this is the really hard chord. We got a pretty big split between the 14th fret and the 9th fret. And even up the neck here, I can feel this at the side of my thumb, where my thumb hits my wrist. C minor 9, great C minor 9th chord. He walks down a little bit. D7 sharp 9 sharp 5, or flat 5, I'm sorry. Sharp 9 sharp 11. 5 chord, G7 with a flatted 5th in it. Don't need the root, but you could put it in there. Going back to C minor. So let's do it from the bridge again. We're getting into the bridge. The 2-5 from a half step above the E flat minor. 2, 5, 1 of the new key. Now we're going to get back to the old key. 2, still 2, 5, still 5, to the original 1. That's a great Ted chord that you definitely need to get if you're going to play some Ted Greene stuff. 2, 2 major, 2 dominant, 5 dominant, back into the 1. All right, I'm going to go through all of those slowly. Have your page in front of you. Let's see. Let's do it with the melody again. I looped just the melody. If I can remember where the timing is. Let's see. Go. I think I got everything. Again, a lot of similar voicings, the stacked 11s, so a lot of fourthy stuff. Half step from above approach. You could half step it from below sometimes, but the common way is to approach a key change or a 2-5 that's going to go to a key change from 1 half step above 2-5, then down a half step to the real 2-5. Wes Montgomery did that all the time. He would imply it in his improvisations, when he would solo over tunes, or when he was playing the changes. Also, and as an arrangement idea. I mean, it's not an uncommon jazzy, like 50s, 60s jazz thing to do. And Ted was super aware of that. I know that most of the stuff that we see from him is him doing very traditional standards or pop tunes in a traditional way, or Gershwinizing Beatles tunes, playing a lot of Gershwin tunes. But he was pretty aware of what was going on with guys like Coltrane, Wayne Shorter, Lee Morgan, Joe Henderson, Miles Davis, etc., Bill Evans, McCoy Tyner. And if you asked him like how to play that stuff, he would just tear off some kind of really cool fourthy lick and chord thing that sort of belied what we are most familiar with him, especially in this age of video, where I know that a lot of you that are viewing this maybe had never even heard of Ted Greene since he passed away. Certainly, didn't take any lessons from him, only know him from his books and some of the videos of him giving a master class either at MI or in a music store, or some badly recorded stuff at a wedding, or a set, like a dinner theater set kind of thing. He was way more than that. All I can say, and I've said this many times in print and in video, that when you saw Ted play, whether it was at a gig, a solo gig, or just sitting on his floor with him while he's giving you a lesson, when he was in front of you playing, you knew that there was no greater guitar player to have ever walked the face of the earth than Ted Green. I mean, it's the truth. Anybody who took lessons from him will tell you that. The guy was just so much grander than even his massive body of work that we have. Anyway, on that note, if you liked it, give me a thumbs up, hit subscribe. Please ask questions in the comments. I'm more than happy to carry on a full-blown conversation in print underneath this video. Again, I'll link to everything. TedGreen.com website is an unbelievable resource for multiple lifetimes of study, and there's plenty of stuff on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, etc., featuring Ted and his music. Tim Lurch's videos are probably the best teaching material. I can't even hold Tim Lurch's case, as far as this stuff goes. But I like doing these, and I think that my approach actually can help some people as well. So again, if you like it, subscribe, hit the like button, etc. Thanks for watching.